Hello, vinyl community. Mr. Rick once again back with some more Christmas albums. This week we are going to celebrate the letters N, O, P, Q, and R. All of them in one week. But first, let me tell you something that happened to me yesterday. It was Friday, and I've been going to my local GW for I guess the last 2 months, and I haven't been able to find a thing. I mean, I was buying records just to buy upgrades, you know, something I already had, but I was coming out of there with literally nothing. And I was watching y'all's videos, and they were getting great scores and everything, and I'm thinking, why can't that happen to me? Well, yesterday it did. Yesterday, I went to my local GW. I wasn't in a good mood to begin with because I'd had an altercation with somebody at a grocery store, but that doesn't make any difference. So I went up there just to get out of the house, and glory be, behold, they had just received a shipment, but somebody had brought in a whole, I guess about 200 record albums. And I started going through them, and I couldn't believe some of these albums. They were 40 years old and still sealed. I could not believe that. But I pulled everything. There was country, there was old rock and roll from the 50s and 60s, there was folk music, jazz mixed in, just all kinds of stuff. And I walked out of there with 50 record albums. I couldn't believe it. Took me all afternoon to categorize them and get them all dressed up and put away and cleaned and everything. But I was typically happy about that. There was a lot of stuff in there. A lot of country, a lot of rock and roll, and some jazz and a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, well, let's jump into the Christmas albums. I mean, we got about 3 more sessions and we'll be all done counting this one. And first of all, we'll jump into. I recorded this a week ago, and stupid me, I wasn't thinking when I erased it accidentally, so we're re-recording it. But this is Nashville's Greatest Hits, and I do not understand how they can call this Nashville Greatest Hits, because all these are classics, and I just don't understand how these people had hits with these records. But, you know, Ray Price sings O Little Town of Bethlehem, Connie Smith with O Come All Ye Faithful, Tammy Wynette with Away in the Manger. But still, it's a good listen. Good listen. Country. Nashville's country hits. Here's old Willie Nelson. This is, I believe, from 1979, if I remember correctly. Pretty Paper was a hit for him back in the 60s, and he re-recorded it along with a bunch of other classics. And this is not a bad album. It's typical Willie Nelson with his guitar and everything, and it's a good sound. Willie's Pretty Paper. Here's the Oak Ridge Boys. This is their Christmas album. And I haven't heard this, haven't had a chance to even listen to it. It's got a lot of classics on it, of course, and it's a pretty good, I guess it's a good listen. I can't say much about it. I was excited to find it, I'll be honest with you, but haven't heard it yet, so. Buck Owens from 1965. This is Buck's offering Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy is a hit off of it, and that was played on the country stations a lot during Christmas time. And he does a lot of the standards. A lot of crying and dying Christmas music in this also. What I call crying and dying. You know, Blue Christmas Tree. It's Christmas Time for Everyone But Me, and Christmas Ain't Christmas Without You, Blue Christmas Lights, a lot of. And I thought that was the only Christmas album that Buck Owens put out, but then a few years ago I found this one, Christmas Shopping, and it's typical Buck Owens. I mean, it's a lot of these songs are just songs that were written by other people, that they're not traditional classics or anything, just a group of Christmas songs that Buck and several others just wrote down and decided to put in a Christmas album. Christmas Shopping with Buck Owens. Here's an oldie but a goodie. This is Patti Page Sings Christmas Favorites. And this is when she was with Mercury record label. She started out with Mercury back in the 40s. And this album's not in very good condition, as you can tell. The jacket's split. I need to do a little work on it. It's got a little wear on the top of the back page, but still a good Christmas album. Patti Page sings Christmas. I guess this is probably from somewhere around 1960. And then 1961 she went with Columbia Records, and this is her Christmas offering from Columbia. And this is nothing but a bunch of Christmas classics. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, and so on and so on. But if you like Patti Page, there's her Christmas album from 1961. Here's the Philadelphia Orchestra with Eugene Ormandy as the conductor. This is their second effort at a Christmas album. Back around 1959, they put out an album called The Glorious Sound of Christmas. And this is a Christmas festival. And it's, if you like a conductor, if you like an orchestra, this is a good one. I enjoy listening to this every once in a while when it comes up in rotation. One of the few rock and roll Christmas albums I've got. These are the Platters, and it says a Yuletide greeting filled with warmth from the Platters. And it's got Jingle Bell Jingle and White Christmas and several others, and that's one of the few rock and roll Christmas albums that I have. I'm looking for so many of them, but they're just hard to find. But this is a good one from the Platters. And then we come up to Elvis Presley. This is a compilation of 1971, and just a good album from Elvis. A lot of unknown Christmas songs on it, a few that are known, but a good album from Christmas, A Wonderful World of Christmas. And here's one, Elvis. This is his Christmas album. This is a compilation. Back in the 50s, he put out 2 Christmas EP 45 records. Back in the 50s, they used to have gatefold 45s, and they used to put 2 records in each one. And he produced two 45 albums, I guess you can call them, with let's see, 4, 8, I guess 8 or 10 songs on both of them. And then they put that all together in this album, along with some gospel songs that he did. An album called Peace in the Valley on 45, and they incorporated that into this. And it's just a good sound of Elvis back in the 50s Christmas records. And here's Country Charlie Pride's Christmas album. This from 1970. Christmas in My Hometown is the hit off of it. And a good song from a good album from him. Santa and the Kids is on it, and it's got several other classics on it, of course. And if you're a Charlie Pride fan, that's a good Christmas album from him. Then we come up to Gentleman Jim Reeves, 12 Songs of Christmas, the only album that he put out before his death on Christmas. I was a big Jim Reeves fan, and I enjoy this album. But it's hard to find anything other than the tracks that are recorded on this album as far as Christmas is concerned. And so this is, if you want to hear Jim Reeves' Christmas album, you're going to hear tracks from this album. That's all I can say about it. And it's a good one. I enjoy it. Here's Marty Robbins' Christmas album, produced by Bob Johnson. Christmas with Marty Robbins. And wishing you the merriest Christmas and the happiest New Year ever, Marty Robbins. This is from, I think, somewhere around the late 1960s, 67, 68, somewhere around in there. And a good Christmas album from him. And last but not least for this week, we get up with Kenny Rogers and his Christmas album. And Kenny sings a lot of non-Christmas, well, they're Christmas favorites, but they're a lot of unknowns. Christmas Every Day, Kentucky Homemade Christmas, Carol of the Bells, Kids, Sweet Little Jesus Boy, and he does White Christmas, Holy Night, When a Child is Born, things like that. And there's a nice picture of the back of him with him and his wife and his dog. And that's Kenny Rogers' Christmas With, and a good album from him. That takes care of it for this week. We'll be back with the letter S next week. There's several albums in that. And then after that, we'll go TUVWXYZ, all of them incorporated into one video. And then we'll be done with Christmas. And Clyde will go back up north to his home in the attic. You ought to see that it's a mess up there where he lives. But anyway, so we want to wish you all a good evening. And Clyde says happy trails.